Facebook.
Watch is going nuts with all the notifications.
Nice. Brograph live. I'm going to share the Facebook feed.
Cool.
There we go.
Grant's already in the chat.
On, yeah. It's great. The Stream Deck thing now has a feature that'll show your viewer count on the Stream Deck.
Cool.
So my little buttons on the side that I use for switching, now I can see my YouTube numbers on the fly instead of having to go to the restream page.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so
Sage, Rick Bogus, man, people are
everybody
already
coming
piling
in.
Yeah. What's up, Chris? Sage, yeah, nobody watches football here.
What's football? You mean soccer? This is America. Derp. All right, that's live. I'm going to close that. I'm just closing everything that's taking precious resources at this point.
Totally short show, Jason.
Yeah, this is going to be a short show. Okay, that is good. Got my notes. I got my Beeples people. We're live on all the stuff and things. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think we're good. All right, so let me go to our pod, and I'm going to turn off the music before I forget. There we go. All right. Man, I have a big head in here right now. Let me change that just a little bit. Let me scale it back just a little. Just a little. There we go. Now we look about the same size. It's nice. Real nice, Clark. All right. All right. We got people in here. We are rolling on Logic. We're rolling on Call Recorder. We're rolling on Dubs. And you ready for the clap?
Yep.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Peeps coming in. All right. I still feel like I'm forgetting something, but maybe I'm just getting better at starting the live stream, you know?
Maybe. Yeah. I think we've got everything.
Okie dokie. It's a little loose there. There we go. You don't need to see my mouth anyway. It's a lot of sync because I haven't fixed all of this latency yet. Yeah, Matt's on the beach. All right. Here we go. What up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I'm Dave.
I'm Liam.
And Brograph is a supplement to our site, brograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other MoGraph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. And Liam's here with us today, a.k.a. 531. He's filling in for Matt because Matt's on the beach. Lucky.
Slacker.
So he's going to be back actually late tonight, and the two of us are finishing up our project that we've been working on. We vaguely talked about it. It's kind of under NDA right now, but what we can say is that it's a projection map, and we're really excited about it. We've been working like crazy on it. In fact, we have 2 more projection maps for the same building coming up later this year, and so I'm really excited to share it in a few weeks when it's actually live. I'm sure there'll be YouTube videos and such, and hopefully some good press. And we're looking to do like a little behind the scenes on it, show what we did, how we put it together, because it was crazy. And Matt's in the chat room right now.
What's up, Matt?
Are you on the beach, Matt? Are you watching the stream from the beach? That'd be awesome. So we have an email address, brograph@brograph.com. If you'd like to email us, we've gotten some emails from people lately. If you'd like to tell us what you think about the show, if you'd like to give us comments, or you have any suggestions, or you want to hear about a certain topic that's maybe like super advanced or a topic that's super noob, it doesn't matter what it is. We accept all kinds, no dumb questions. So brograph@brograph.com. Let us know what you think. So this project going on right now that Matt and I are finishing up, there's some stuff going on technically that just still gets to me. We're working right now, we're shifting into night mode because they're doing the install for this projection map right now. So it's going to be one of those things where now this is where the fine tuning happens. This is where, this thing is a little off because you built this based on a drawing, but you also did it mathematically. But when they installed windows on this building, they were 2 inches off, that kind of thing. So we have to adjust for that. Now, a lot of that can be done in projector, but we're switching to being on call at night. So we're going to be watching the streams and hoping that works out. And we're going to go up there and hopefully get some good footage for behind the scenes stuff pretty soon. And some of the technical stuff I ran into, what's the deal with RAM preview when it stops working just randomly in After Effects? This is still a problem.
Oh, yeah.
You're like in After Effects, everything's going fine, and you hit 0 or you hit spacebar, and it sits there and like literally does nothing. It doesn't cache it. It does nothing. You mess with settings. You try it again. You clear your caches. You clear your image buffers, whatever it is, and you have to close After Effects and open it back up.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I feel like I haven't changed my workflow much in After Effects for however long I've been working in it. And my computers have gotten better, and I still have to RAM preview things at like a half or a quarter frame rate just because it can't keep up. And it's been, I probably started like CS5, I think, is my first like After Effects, first time I bought After Effects. Yeah. And it should be exponentially better, and it's not. It still slows down.
And Matt says try updating. It's like, yeah, dude. I'm like I don't like to update, but I had to update After Effects because the things that Matt updates, I have to update, or else I can't open projects. So like it should be up to date. I mean, this feels like it's been happening for a couple of years now. So I have been updating After Effects. I just don't understand. I hit 0. I just want to see something. It's so frustrating. And then the audio doesn't work, or it stops working, or it slows down and just, and then so I go to the preferences and tell it not to play audio unless it can play it correctly. Yeah. And then it just doesn't work. And you're like, well, I set it to do from this point or this time or my work area. That you just have to close After Effects and open it back up.
Yeah, that seems to be the trick too. And like now that I've been using Fusion a lot more too, I don't really understand it. Like I don't understand why After Effects has so much trouble, because Fusion, you can run 32-bit float whatever through it,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll cache and it'll play back fine. And then you hop into After Effects, and it's like you have to restart every few minutes just to be able to get it to play properly. So,
Right.
I think they need like a really good foundational rewrite or something.
It's one of those things where all you want to do is make sure that your timing is correct most of the time. You know, and as animators, we get pretty good at guessing how many keyframes something is going to be. Like, you want to move this from here to here, and you guess, okay, that's going to be real quick. It's probably going to be about 10 frames, right? And you get pretty good at that. But then you go back and you want to make sure everything flows. You don't need to see it full res. So, you know, you try quarter res or something, or half, and skip frames sometimes. You know, I usually find that if I'm doing half res and doing every 2 frames and I hit 0, it's pretty much a quick RAM preview.
Yeah.
But it's super frustrating. It's like, God, I just want to see what's going on and why it's the 90s, guys. Come on. There's got to be some better technology that they can implement. I don't care about any of the new After Effects features. Just make RAM. And I know they don't call it RAM preview anymore, but, you know.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I don't care about plugins very much anymore and all the new features and everything, and whoever they're buying out now, it's just like, all right, we're at a point now where everything should be working, or they should be focusing on getting everything working.
Right. There's a lot of stuff that I don't need in After Effects because I do a lot of it in Octane in camera. And so usually it's just like, okay, I might have to correct a vignette or do a mask on something, or maybe, I don't know, put a little curves on something because the gammas are slightly off. That's all it is. And it's like there's not much to it. I don't even have a heavy project. Why can't I see that? Maybe I should switch over to those other files in that article Chad Ashley wrote. Maybe that's part of the problem. You know, these TIFF files might be an issue.
Yeah,
I'm a TIFF kind of guy.
I generally do PNGs and EXRs, and it doesn't matter. It just seems like AE is crap with RAM preview.
Man, that's so weird.
Yeah.
So I would like to apologize for the crappy live stream last week. That was that was Murphy's Law in action right there, you know. And it's like whenever we were on, when David and I were on, getting ready was just a nightmare. Like, I was having computer problems, stuff wasn't working. I was already frustrated, and it's hard to do a show when you're frustrated, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever had problems getting your live stream working on Thursdays, or had technical issues, and then you're like, I just want to do the fun part, which is sit here and talk. But then by the time you get it working, you're so frustrated. It's like sometimes on Windows, I am just dumbfounded at how much fixing of things I have to do on a daily basis in order to just do the thing I want to do. I'm always out of hard drive space for some reason, because Dropbox caches and what's the disk caching stuff? What is it called? The Windows
like the page
files.
Yeah.
You get a 20 gig page file and an 80 gig Dropbox cache, you know, and it's like, what in the world? I'm clearing 100 gig on a daily basis, and Dropbox like, you're out of room today. I don't know what's going on. You're out of room. It's like, all right, so you fix that. You open WinDirStat. Have you seen WinDirStat?
Yeah, that's like the one where it like does the GUI visual of all the cubes of memory, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And that is very similar to a program that I used on Mac called What Size. And so
sounds like a dating app.
Yeah. What size? So, you know, I just, it's this constant thing, and I get it. I'm on a laptop, but I have a solid state drive, so my memory, my room is limited, but I like to have the project I'm working on locally. But like, this projection map is 200 gig at this point, and it's like every day we've got all these computers. We got Render Farms and Meeseeks, and I got Matt's computers I'm using remotely while he's gone, just sending in thousands of 6 megabyte TIFF files to me at once, and I'm just having this overload on this little laptop that I'm using, because it's just, it can't keep up. I've got like a 500 gig drive to begin with, but it sucks because the price of hard drives, solid state drives, is just so high. It's really hard to get what you need to function. And I know everybody's going to tell me I need to get, you know, a big monster machine and get giant hard drives, and you're right. But I I swear to you, sometimes even on my Mac laptop, I'm like, where did the room go?
Mhm.
You know, I'll be on my MacBook Air and it's like I cleared 80 gig a week ago, and then I pick up the laptop that I haven't opened in a week, and all of a sudden it's full. I'm like, I don't understand where that went. It's like
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah, I don't get it either, because we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, and just like I will save a file and get an error that that drive is full, and it's like it's the same file. I haven't done anything different. All I'm doing is just working in Cinema. It's just like magic gremlins of space that appear. So yeah, I remember too. Also, like deviating a little bit, Houdini Mark talked about this in the Slack that he's working on like a 3 terabyte plus sim at the moment. And I don't understand how he even does that, or like where you get the hard drive space for that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so much data. And what's funny about all that is it's just text.
Right.
You know? It's like particle data is just text.
Mhm.
And it's like 3 terabytes. That's insane. I want to have Houdini Mark on the show again. I've already been talking to him. I know that, now he's, working for the man, aka Barton Damer, which
Yeah.
he's
a good man to work for.
He is the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about meeting up and talking, and I would love to. I want to get into Houdini so bad, and I haven't taken much vacation, and I'm thinking about what do I want to do. Do I want to veg out for a week? That doesn't seem too productive because I get pretty bored after like 2 days of not doing anything.
Yeah.
Do I want to learn something? Do I want to do an independent project? Do I want to learn Houdini? Do I want to go just take a road trip and help children down at the border who are in camps? I won't talk anymore about that. But I don't know. What do I want to do with that spare time? And one of my options is maybe learning Houdini, which I've been telling myself I'm going to do for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so I almost want to go to Houdini Mark and say, can I pay you to sit down with me for one day and just get me into it? Because like I've tried to sit down and do it. I've done a couple things, but I just don't. You know the feeling, right? When you're just like, I wish I could show somebody could show me the basics just real quick, and I'd be like, oh, okay. Just so I can ask the questions at the time instead of having to Google every question that I have until I find an answer. Just somebody who's a bit knowledgeable to give me the basics. And, I did that for people and friends, like even Lance, for example. He was an After Effects guy only, trying to do 3D stuff in After Effects. And I'm like, dude, you would be so good at Cinema 4D. Just let me spend one day with you, and you're going to love Cinema 4D. And look at him now, working for Barton. Like he picked it up so quick because he's so good at that. And all it takes is sitting down with somebody who knows the software to just give you that little nudge. Al Heck, he did the same thing. He hired somebody to spend a week with him on Skype learning Unity, because you can go do courses and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, if you got someone in front of you and you have a little extra cash, that's so much better. Just like a personal tutor.
I've noticed too with trying to learn Houdini that a lot of the teachers that are out there teaching it are really dry, and it's really hard to get through. And the teachers too don't, at least from what I'm finding, don't know where to start people, so that they'll just assume that people already know somewhat of Houdini, like just jump right into something. And I feel like the Cinema 4D community has a better grasp as just like as a whole for teachers about getting into something and explaining step by step. All right, now I'm clicking on this because this, and the why of stuff. And in Houdini, it's kind of iffy with what the teacher's going to go over and why they're doing something. Sometimes they might explain it, and sometimes it's just like, I have no idea what you're doing. You're talking in tongues, and I just see a bunch of nodes flooding your screen, and it gets really crazy and overwhelming. But yeah, I think there is a definite need, or even just like sitting down with Mark, like you said, to get some teachers out there that are a little bit more energetic, or sitting down with somebody too. So if anyone is watching right now or listening right now and knows of some good teachers that teach Houdini and are kind of energetic, I would love that, because I've only found like one or two at the moment.
I know some of the intro stuff. What's the big site that everybody talks about? Those, it's like two guys. It's almost like a Brograph of Houdini. You know, these two guys that do the, is it like Enigma or something?
Intagma.
Intagma.
Yeah. They just rolled out, I shouldn't say just, but within the last 6 months, their beginner series, and it's been really good, and you have to pay for it on Patreon.
You got to pay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been worth it. But at the same time, they have their free series where it's kind of the same deal, where it's not really dry. They're really good at talking and presenting, but they'll just jump into things assuming that people have kind of come into Houdini knowing
I tried it. I tried a tutorial and I was like, man, this is already over my head. And, you know, I know enough to know, like, I scroll through, I peruse what you guys are doing on the Brograph Slack talking about Houdini, which if you are into Houdini, like, get into the Houdini channel on the Brograph Slack, because it's really great. It's got so many great people in it that are so good at Houdini. So, you know, if you have questions, you can get in there. But I go through and I peruse it, right? And I look through and I'm like, I see these different things like, what is it? Mops and maps and these things, like these different versions of stuff that y'all are talking about. And I don't know what they are, but I know that, like, there's different ways to do things, and people always talk about which one is better. And so I'm vaguely familiar with it, but I need somebody to explain that stuff to me and show me how to use it and tell me which one is best to start out with and which one I should just ignore because it's going to be antiquated soon. You don't get that when you jump on a tutorial.
Right. Yeah.
It could be an old tutorial. Half the tutorials are like 240p or something.
Yeah. So like you're just saying, like, mops and stuff like that. And it's definitely hard to keep up and, like, know what is going to be practical in your day-to-day and what's just like, oh, this is kind of cool. And that's what I've been having trouble with too, is like, until I started really making little projects and trying to experiment on, like, specifics, it's just like, it's completely overwhelming. So you were talking about doing a personal project, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. And I think Ariev talked about it too when he went on his like sabbatical of learning, that he pretty much picked a project, and that's how he learned Fusion 360. He just had that goal in mind. And so that's been really helpful for me with learning Houdini, is just picking, like, these little small projects. And I've been wanting to do, like, some more sim stuff, so that's what I've only been focusing on lately, is sim and Houdini, and it's been making a lot more sense than just like, I want to try and recreate MoGraph and I want to try and do this and that. So if you are looking to get into it, I would say definitely start with a project in mind too, and then maybe sit down with Mark.
Because that's how I got into Nuke, is I actually did a little project in it at a job I had, and Joe Selnikovic helped me through it. But it's one of those things where, again, just like Nuke, I've sat down in Nuke, I've sat down in Houdini before and tried a couple things, but I don't ever remember it when I come back to it. You know, it's one of those things where you've got to do it every day, or else you're really not going to learn it. Now I can jump in and out of Cinema 4D. If I stop using Cinema 4D for a month, which I would never do, but if I did, I would remember it because I've just logged the hours. I mean, they have that 10,000 hour rule about getting good at something, and I guarantee you I've spent more than 10,000 hours in front of cinema, but it's never enough for it to stick in my head. And so yeah, maybe a side project. I mean, I was working on a side project, but this project has gone so far overboard on, like, how many hours I put into it that, like, even my Sunday personal learning days have gone the wayside because I've just been working literally every day on this project. So, you know, maybe I'll find one cool thing to. I don't want to do the whole project in Houdini. But I'm thinking maybe what I'm doing right now, if I did one thing in, like, specifically in Houdini, like maybe if I did a sim or some smoke or just something just to say that I did it, that might be a good start.
I mean, kind of like going back on what you're saying, and I know we're going to talk about this later on, but, like, Mops is starting to roll out from the guys from Tagma and Toadstorm, and so that's supposed to be the motion operators, and it's basically recreating everything inside Cinema 4D for Houdini now, and it's been really awesome. It's alpha, so it's a little bit crashy at times, but they've been really good about updating like almost every day. I just checked, and it's been about a week since they rolled out an update, but their forum's super active. And so for people that are looking to get into Houdini from Cinema 4D, I think this may be the like gateway drug eventually, because it's really just like, all right, I want a cube, and I want that cube to be on a sphere, and you just hook it up just like you would in Cinema. You just say, all right, I want a sphere that has cubes all over it, and that's it. And it makes it really simple. You don't have to make 500 nodes just to get one simple thing. So I think that's the one thing that's been lacking too. And I was kind of talking about this on the Monday meeting channel thing this morning, the call this morning, that going from Cinema 4D into Houdini, like the verbiage is really weird and the icons are weird, and Cinema 4D does a really great job at just like giving you really good visuals to guide you, and like a cloner looks like clones, and then and Houdini, and then Houdini, you're like, I have no idea what this is gonna do. It's magic. Yeah.
So are you, I know you've been doing a lot of Houdini stuff, and I've seen you posting stuff in the Slack channel, but is this client work or are you just personal learning right now?
No, I'm just personal learning, because I was booked from like December through the beginning of June, like the first week of June, like almost nonstop, and I just like was burnt out. So I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna take some time to learn. So I have like one project right now that's taking up like 2 or 3 days a week, and then the rest of the time I'm just kind of screwing around.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good position to be in.
Yeah,
you know. Oh, and I forgot. Of course, I forgot to finish the internet story. So as soon as I was going to hit play or live or whatever to go live on last week's show, the internet went out. Just boom, it was out. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me, because I was dealing with all those other issues. So like the modem went out, apparently the wiring was bad. They had to replace all the wiring. So we were actually on a different internet, like a backup internet. It was only like 10 megabit instead of the 800 and something that I have usually. And so and then of course before the show I was thinking today I need to go put a sign out, because they didn't bury the cable. They put this giant orange brand new cable through the yard, through the grass, and I'm like, seriously? Like, am I just supposed to leave this here like an extension cord? Like, what happens? You can't mow the lawn.
Right.
So I had to, I wrote up a sign, and I'm like, do not disconnect this unless you call me first, because I put in an order for him to bury the cable, which should be obvious. But what else do I have here? Oh, one thing that I also wanted to bring up is doing this project. If you could see inside these projects, it is so complicated. It is so ridiculously complicated. And there are a lot of things like it's not easy to animate and like turn on and off and blink emission textures in Octane, because you got to go so deep to get to the thing that you want to keyframe. And so I'm sitting there working with that. I'm working with selections. You know, maybe there's like 6 or 7 items that I need to do something at one given point, right? So I've got a project, it's got 9,000 frames in it, and I got to dig through and I got to find this one thing because the client said, okay, you need to push this to later on in the animation. Yeah. So I rearrange it, and like I have to find all those keyframes. And so, yeah, you can do like a select all, like everything in your project if you want, and open the tracks, but it's slow, first of all, to do that. It takes forever. You get a little spinning wheel for a minute. But I feel like, you know how they do like save selections? You can do polygon selections and save a polygon selection and recall it. Yeah. I would love it if you could have something where you can save object selections in Cinema and say, I have 10 items and these keyframes, and you select all the things, and then you say, this is called the such and such segment. Yeah. And you save it, and then you can recall it, and they all select, and you just grab that set of keyframes and move it. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there is a way. But I'm looking at that. I'm like, man, that would be a great plugin idea.
Could you do that with layers at all? I guess it doesn't really select keyframes when you do it with layers, right?
Yeah, but it's more of, and even with layers, it's like, what are you selecting?
Yeah, true.
You know?
Mhm.
Okay, Billy says it exists and it's called selection. But is that like item selection? And can you save that as something to say, like, these are all the things I've got, these two things that move at this point, and then this texture has a keyframe that blinks at this point inside of an emission in Octane, and then there's this and there's that. There's all these, and so you're control clicking on, like, 50 items in order to just take that set of keyframes and go boop,
Like Sage's response.
Yeah. So Billy said it's called selection. Wow.
I feel like I need to pop open Cinema and see this.
I know. Okay. All right. I'm going to try and open it while we're talking here because I need to see what this is. Because when I type selection, I always get set selection or whatever. Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's opening. In the meantime, the Slack, get on our Slack channel, check it out. There's so many great channels. There's so many people doing so many things, and it's such a great community. You do a lot of you're in the Redshift channel a lot in there. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, Liam, you are 531. You do Redshift Live every Thursday, now every other Thursday, on your channel and our channel simultaneously. Yep. So this week is an on week, not an off week. So you will be streaming live at 8 p.m. Central on Thursday. Yep. So if you haven't heard of this, check it out. Get on the Slack and talk to us about everything. We've got stuff ranging from just general stuff and random stuff to talking about TV shows and Westworld and all that other kind of stuff. So it's called Selection. I've got my thing open now. So
yeah, I just tried it too, and it lets you do like new add and subtract modes, and then select unrooted, intersecting, and zero. I don't know what those mean. Gurnge, Billy, what does that mean? But you can apply new transformations and stuff. It says right in here. So I don't
really.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that there's so much in cinema, just like Photoshop. There's so much in cinema that it's so difficult to learn everything and know where everything is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just like, you don't know how to do something and you're like, I bet you there's a feature that actually does this or something. Why can't I get Cinema to come up in the live stream? That's really odd. I guess I have something like selected incorrectly. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go back to the two of us. So I'm going to do Shift C and do selection. Learn something new every day. All right, new select unrooted. See, I don't know what this stuff is.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if I apply it, what do I get? And how do I bring up, is there a list of those selections? Like, what do I click to get that selection back? Because I don't see a tag or anything. All right, well, I'm going to have to just come back to that off air because I don't know what I'm doing.
I just closed that because I didn't know what I was doing either.
Yeah, I want to be able to have a button that says select this, and boom, they're all selected again. So, what else on the agenda here? Don't forget, while you're on our site, check out Slack, check out our plugins. I wanted to mention that David Aryev and EJ Hassenfrost were on the School of Motion podcast this week.
Yeah, it was really good.
I have not gotten all the way through it yet. I started listening. I did notice in the notes that in the show notes, there's a link to Brograph and a link to Tokyo Megaplex. Mm-hmm. So thanks for the shout out there. And but also the Cinema 4D School of Motion intro, I guess, what's the official name of it? The intro class that EJ's doing.
Cinema 4D Base Camp. I keep wanting to say boot camp. Yeah, it's Base Camp.
Base Camp.
And that opened today, and
it's already full, right?
The last I checked, it was full or like just a few spots away from being full. So if you're watching this on the live stream, go sign up like right now.
Damn, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's already too late.
Yeah.
Um, other stuff from the week. Merck posted some Morse code the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah, and I followed it through, and I guess it's a coupon code, which is I thought really smart. That's just really smart to do that.
So of course I posted, this just proves that you are indeed AI, and he was like, you figured me out or something like that.
He did another one too, where it wasn't just dots and dashes, but some other kind of what is it called? Binary. He posted binary.
Oh
as well. Yeah. So
I've thought about doing something like that before. Do like a whole like intricate series of clues to get to something. It'd be a fun game.
Oh yeah.
And so it looks like he's trying to make more and more complicated deals just to get discounts on plugins and stuff. And so pretty cool. We're still trying to get Merck on the show, but again, how are you going to have AI on the show?
Right. Yeah. I've seen his Facebook avatar, and I know he's a real person. At least he's got an avatar of a real person, but
could be a front. You never know.
Yeah. Right.
But let's see. Yeah, Sage said, I'm very entertained by the fact that Merck is leaning into this.
Yeah.
Kubernetes. Is he Liam? Is it actually you? Is that what it is?
Yeah, maybe. I wish I knew how to do the stuff he knows how to do. Man, it's crazy.
And let's see what else. I talked about Dropbox caches, so let's do some follow-ups from last week. You were talking about this Monday meeting channel. What is that? So
yeah, we started a Monday meeting channel. It was kind of after Barton's article came out on Grayscale Gorilla about how they do a Monday meeting to talk about inspiration and just kind of collaborating on things. And
I have been in those meetings before with them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so as freelancers, we don't really get that. So Mark C and myself, and I guess there's probably like 15 of us in there now, maybe 20 of us, decided like let's try and do like a weekly call and just show things that are inspiring us throughout the week.
That's
get
awesome.
Questions answered, and talk
where
about
is this
goals. So Mark started a Zoom account. So he just has Zoom. It's like a live streaming chat thing. It's kind of like Skype on steroids.
Like a Tiny Chat or something, or like Discord, or
it's kind of or like Google Chat or whatever. You can have up to like 40 people in a chat at one time, something crazy like that. But yeah, so Mark started that, and he ended up buying a paid account, so now you can just chat as long as you want. We do it every Monday at 10 a.m. and if you can't make it, you can't make it, and if you can, you can, and there's no real like qualifications to come to the chat. You just come and hang really out. Cool. Yeah, and if you have something to share, then share it, and if not, then that's cool. You can just listen and hang out.
It's like a party line from back in the day.
Yeah, pretty much like a party line that has a little bit of focus to it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you guys are freelancers and you feel like you're lonely out there and you have no one to bounce ideas off of, or talk to in real life, not just like a text of Slack questions and things like that, then this is how you can get some like real face time with that.
Billy says that there's info in the channel in Slack. Is there a channel dedicated to it in Slack?
Yeah, it's hashtag motion-meeting, or not motion meeting, Monday-meeting.
Man, look at that. I'm not even subscribed to that one. I can't even keep up, yo. I'm telling you, I try to keep up on our Slack channel the best I can, but like when I'm working, I have to snooze it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll come back and it says you have 430 notifications, and I'm like, okay, that's crazy, but that's also really cool at the same time.
Yeah, I've set up Slack now to just notify me on certain keywords because it was just getting too intense.
That's really cool, though. I like that you can do that. Like, for example, I'm in the Grayscale Gorilla Slack, but I mean, with Brograph, I can't even keep up. So I don't really try and keep up with Grayscale, but I do have keywords for Brograph and for my name. And so, so if someone is asking a question or referring to us or something for something, I can at least see it and respond to it, But yeah, Slack is so powerful. It's it is the IRC of our day, basically. And
just without all the crazy macros. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The macros, and I saw a picture the other day. It was for a theater or something, but I guess you had to be, or maybe it was a bar, but they had a marquee, and I think because it's 21 and up, it said something along the lines of, if you don't remember what IRC is, you're not allowed to come in, or something.
That's cool.
But this is such a great thing for the community and for these different communities. You know, you got the motion design Slack, Grayscale, Gorilla, and even in ours, like since we started it, I feel like our community has gotten to know each other. Because before it was like you listen to the show, you talk about things, you may reference people or have on guests or read people's emails, but now you get to really learn about people and who they are.
Yeah.
You know, which you wouldn't get that from the occasional email. You get to see people every day. You get to learn their personalities. And then you go to these meetups and then you know these people. They're your internet friends, and it makes the world smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like when last year at Half Res, I met so many people, and then getting them all under one roof with the Slack, it's like, oh, I can keep up with all these people year round, and then when it's time to go to another meetup, I can see them again. It's like nothing, there hasn't been a lapse. There's no awkward feeling at all. It's just like, yeah, I'm talking to you again, just like I talked to you yesterday on Slack.
Right. It's like, oh, remember last week when we were doing this thing?
Yeah.
But you weren't I don't know. It's weird. The concept of internet friends. The fact that I have more friends from the internet than I do in real life, or IRL as they say, is pretty funny. But so and speaking of which, the great thing too is that people can post follow-up on something. So we've got, I'm going to try and do more follow-ups on what people say. We have the show topic ideas. We love the emails, so don't think that we don't want to get emails. We do, but there's the show topic ideas section where someone will post a follow-up from an incident that we talked about on the show, or an article, or something. So like, for example, Grant said, by the way, I think Ty mentioned when he was on the broadcast how he was improving a lot of things at PixelPlow. And if I recall correctly, one of them was how it handles saving project directories automatically or something. Well, it's freaking awesome. I have a project that took something like 10 hours to upload the project originally, but keep rendering in chunks each time is taking a fraction of the time, I'm guessing, to check and compare before it starts rendering. And so, we get updates like that, and it makes us feel good because like we're trying to bring people to the table, such as PixelPlow, that are going to be super helpful in what you do, and finding out that that was helpful to people is really great.
Yeah.
And Tokyo Megaplex as well, speaking of follow-ups, he was talking about the stealing versus inspiration from last week. And he said that you brought up the guy, it was somebody's reel, I guess, and it was very similar to some people's stuff, similar to Westworld's in some places, and something else. There was something else that looked...
Yeah, Raid's ship at the end. Yeah.
But I guess what was going on is people was actually like giving this guy, tips or something, but it looked kind of like Beeple's work. It kind of looked like this stuff, and again, it came back to that whole discussion: is something stealing? Is if it's similar, it's not really stealing, but
right.
So
yeah, I guess it turned out. So I talked to him, and it turned out that he had actually gotten on a Skype call with people and had them kind of give critique. So I think that's pretty cool. Like that's awesome to have like that connection and like friendship with people and do that. For me personally, it's like I want to deviate away enough from something so I'm not immediately like instant reaction thinking, or somebody's thinking that, hey, that looks exactly like so and so. Right. So that's kind of where I draw the line, where it's like if I'm imitating somebody to learn, that's one thing. If I'm imitating somebody to put in my reel to get work, I feel like that's kind of a little skeezy.
Or if you're working for a client that says, I want this style, well, then you're going to do that style. It's not, I mean, they're paying you to do whatever they want. So
right, exactly.
I guess Tokyo said, should he have given credit as inspiration to people? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think there's any reason to.
I don't think so either.
You know, and also, what if someone who somehow hadn't seen Beeple's work saw his reel and thought it was his idea and wanted to hire him as creative director? Well, I mean, if you can do the work, you know, like what's the issue?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I mean, nothing is fully original, so
yeah, everything's fully remix. It's just like where is that line of like, am I actually like remixing something and remixing something else together to make something new, or am I just taking something and kind of iterating off an idea that somebody already created?
Yeah. So, and another thing about our Slack channel is the fact that we can get updates where people will send us a link or something that's really helpful in regards to something we talked about.
Yeah.
And and sometimes I go through and I'll pick stuff up or save stuff, and I'm sorry, like if I'm not always able to give credit to the person who posted it, because sometimes I just like grab a link and save it and I forget who sent it, you know, but it's great because it becomes a resource for us on the show. You know, everybody's basically a producer, you know, at that point. And so I'm sorry I don't have credit to give where credit is due, but somebody posted a link to this video called How to Affordably Copyright Your Art and How to Deal with Copyright Infringement. Cool. This is by Gerald Tidwell, so that'll be in the show notes. Of course, relevant to our conversation about, it was Matt Rittman, right? Yeah. Who was having copyright issues. So
cool.
Let's move on to Ravcock. What's your flavor?
Nice.
You're supposed to do the thing, man.
Oh man, sorry.
What's your flavor?
What's your flavor?
See, there you go.
God.
See,
I'm trying to cut back on caffeine, and it's not been successful so far.
As I pick up my giant coffee.
Yeah, I see you drinking that. I really want to text my wife to get me some coffee.
My wife?
My wife?
Actually, I have 2 of these. So I didn't sleep much last night. So I have a venti iced coffee here. I have another one in the fridge, and I took a double espresso shot before I did show notes. So
damn,
I'm a little jacked in that regard. You should get some caffeine.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna.
Why are you doing that?
Just I don't know, just to see if it helps my life at all. I don't know. One of those things where it's like people say you shouldn't have so much caffeine, so I'm gonna try and cut back. I was drinking like a Monster a day, which is just like pure chemical into your bloodstream.
Dude.
You know, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I want to try and cut that out completely and maybe switch to just like coffee in general, or like something a little bit more organic, not organic, but like
more natural.
Yeah,
I understand that because I love white Monsters, and I get the ones the tall ones with the bayonet cap on the top.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. And I'll down those, and there's some days I'll have 2, and I'm like, how much chemical crap did I just put in my body?
Yeah, like are my kidneys still working right now? Like, yeah.
Right. So I try and restrict those, even the Red Bull. You know, I don't think the Red Bull is as bad as Monster, but sometimes you just gotta have a Monster. That's what she said. Audio problem. Stand by. Okay, no, we're good. We're good.
Okay,
we're good.
Cool.
It's this computer that I need to revamp. Kind of has issues sometimes. So you know what? I should do a marker because I know I'm not going to be able to find that part. I end up going because I do the show, right? And then I start editing it. And if there's ever even a split second hiccup in anybody's audio stream, then I'm going through and I'm listening to it and something's off and everyone's talking over each other. And then I have to go backtrack and figure out, this is where that little glitch happened and I have to resync. So I'm doing myself a favor for my future self and marking that. Anyway, I'm all over the place, man. It's the caffeine today. Sorry.
So that's cool. Mr. Andy Needham. It looks like that's your first note, right? Andy's new tutorial or training?
Yeah. I think he's got 2 new things on Lynda right now, if I'm not mistaken. There's one on, is it? I don't know. I know it's in the notes, so if I come across it, I'll talk about it. But we got the Octane render for Cinema 4D Essential Training. this is LinkedIn Learning. So got a link to that. That's why it's in Ravcock because of the Octane stuff.
Yeah.
But I swear there's another one, but I might have it in my links.
He's got a bunch of courses on here. I went to LinkedIn and clicked on his name. He's got Octane for Cinema 4D Essential Training, X Particles 4 Essential Training, Designing an Animated App in Illustrator, Cinema 4D Essentials VFX. Let's see, Essential Training Motion Graphics for Cinema 4D, Learning R19, new features in R19.
The X Particles Slack he's got going too, and like he's got a lot going on.
Yeah, he's got a lot, man. Let's see, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got, it looks like almost like 20 courses on here. I really didn't know he had that many courses out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I'll where is it? I'm going to have to come back to it because I swore I had something else of his in here. But, okay. So, Brandon Clements posted this, and this is something I think I kind of called you into the thread on Facebook. Yeah. And this is about passing in Redshift, passing particle color information to trails in X Particles. Did you ever figure out if this is a thing or if it's something that's just not available yet?
Yeah, it's not available yet, I guess. So Brandon got on the forums, and somebody on the forums posted that it's an X Particles issue where they haven't opened the SDK up enough. So it's kind of limited to Cycles, which makes sense since Insidium owns Cycles 4D. So that kind of sucks because Billy was having the same thing happen where he wanted to pass light information or color information to his lights.
And you were working on that on the live stream.
Yeah, and we couldn't figure it out either. And that shouldn't have to do with X Particles at all. That was just like cloner stuff, like a normal cloner with random colors. So I don't know how true it is what they're saying on the forum because, you know, their customer service is not always that great. So I hope that it's a new feature at some point, but the fact that Billy wasn't able to get it working with just a cloner, I kind of want to call BS on it a little bit too. Like maybe they're just haven't implemented it at all.
Right. And now the new updates to X Particles, by the way, the like faster stuff that they're coming out with and all of that, that's still kind of like in beta, right? It's not an official update.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. Like they're calling it early release, so they're saying it is technically possible that you could have issues of crashing, but it's been really solid for me. The only thing that I've noticed is maybe it's just my machine. Maybe I need to update, but it doesn't seem as fast as they're saying in the videos. Like it seems like it's a little bit more solid. Like it's not crashing as much, but I'm not getting the same like 200% faster or whatever they're claiming in their videos.
Oh yeah. Well, I wanted to mess with that, but again, you know, in the middle of a project using X Particles, I'm like, that's probably not a good idea. I don't want to mess with anything.
Right.
I got, you know, X Particles on multiple machines and on the, you know, because I need it for renders on the other machines and stuff. And I'm like, if I start going down that road, something's going to break or not function correctly, or honestly, my biggest worry is that you have a different version of X Particles, and for some reason, all of a sudden, the algorithm's different and it's calculating different, and all you can't render it on two machines and get the same result. Yeah. You know, I'm always worried about that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to checking that out. And then there was a link somebody posted on the Facebook Octane group about some crazy OSL material thing that they did. And they called it like ray type equals magic.
Huh, I think I missed that one. That looks cool.
And so I was like I was watching this, and it's almost like they figured out how to do biased stuff.
Yeah. Whoa.
Like really, really crazy looking. Like it's called ray type equals magic. So check this out, because they're doing crazy things like something passes behind a material. Like the biggest example of it was like a person walks behind this material and you can see a skeleton. Like I don't know what kind of voodoo this is, but if this is where OSL is going, I'm really excited. So
yeah, it does. It seems like it's turning a regular shader into a bias shader. This is really cool. Especially like, yeah, but you're saying, because they show an example like you're saying with like the X-ray machine and seeing the skeleton but not the actual body model, and then like this cool shadow technique of pulling away the 3D text but the shadow is still there. That's cool. That's totally worth watching. That's really cool.
Benjamin says, can't you use the render as hair with the Octane object tag? But this was a Redshift thing.
Yeah. And you can do that in Redshift too. You can set a tag for hair, but this was like a color issue where you couldn't pull the color data from the cloner or X particles.
Oh, okay. I think this is one of your notes. Arnold, people having a ton of trouble with the new licensing software.
Yes.
What's up with that?
So Autodesk merged with Arnold, I forget, like a couple years ago now.
Right.
And it's been more and more merging. And this year, Autodesk has implemented their own software licensing. So instead of like normal RLM licensing that Solid Angle was using, it's now whatever proprietary Autodesk thing is. And almost every person I know that has had to renew their license and is now using this new software has had to have like anywhere from like 3 days to a week of dealing with Autodesk trying to get their server up and running. And I had to do it for like, it was really terrible. I had to do it for like 3 days. And I have like a little quick fix if you're somebody out there that is having this issue where it's just like a stupid little change the port to whatever it is, like 2601 instead of 2600 or whatever the default is. And that seems to fix it for a lot of people. But a lot of other people are having like Windows 10 issues with like it not bypassing the network properly and things like that. So I want to put that out there that like if you are one of these people, you're not alone. It's happening to like almost everyone that I've talked to that uses Arnold.
Well, and then the new Redshift update is out. The thing about Redshift updates is they come out a lot. So it's like not big news. It's like, oh, another update, you know? Yeah,
this one's kind of big because it's like an actual 2-point version update. It's not like 2-point whatever.
Point.
Yeah, so 2.6 is out and they're already off and running into like their point whatevers that they've been doing. But the big announcement that came with it is once they went to 2.6 is that they're announcing that going forward, everything is going to be Redshift 3. So they're going to stop focusing on just like iterative points and moving forward to just going forward with Redshift 3, which will be awesome. They haven't really made big announcements of what that's going to be other than just like normal optimizations and speed and things like that. But that was exciting that they have already announced that that's what they're working on next.
Nice. Okay. Before we go any further, I don't usually do this, but I need to run to the other room and turn down the air because I am dying right now. It is so hot. Like, it's ridiculous. I think it's because my computers are rendering over here and it's just blowing directly on me. Okay. So I apologize. Give me 30 seconds and
I'll interact with the chat. It's cool.
Okay.
Let's see. So I'm going to say hi to everybody that's in here if I missed you. So Ben, what's up, man? Yeah, this is me. I'm Liam. And Sage, I already said hi to you. Jay Go Design, what's up, dude? Yeah, that's free for this week. That's cool for the Octane people. And Billy, all right, cool. So Redshift 3 will have all automatic sampling settings, or we'll have a toggle at least. That's cool. Okay, so that will make life easier for people that are coming over from Octane if they are still coming over when 4 comes out. What's up, Kent? How you doing, man? Let's see, Claudio, you need 5 espressos a day. Dude, I mean, I was definitely a 1 monster a day, maybe sometimes 2, but I got to save my kidneys. What else?
Okay, I wasn't crazy. Cool. It's 82 degrees in here, so... Oh,
whoa.
God. Whew. That's going to be better in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, were you talking to anyone about anything? I don't want to interrupt there. But
Oh, no, I was just saying hi to people, and Billy brought up what is happening in Redshift 3 is and so a lot of people have complained when switching over from Octane that there's too many settings, and so I guess there's going to be a toggle to just let Redshift be mostly automatic and sampling settings. So
nice.
Yeah, much closer to Octane, where you just kind of set your base sample settings and then let it run.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool because I do get that. Like, I do like the simplicity of Octane in that aspect sometimes. Like, I get needing to have more control for certain reasons, but
yeah.
Let's move on to some topics.
Cool.
So this topic is kind of a two different topics. This is based on an email, and the topic is taking changes and feedback personally. Hey guys, how do you handle client changes when you know it's not necessarily the best route, and when it makes the project worse, how do you keep interested and not take it personally? And then there's another part I'll get to in a second because it's kind of a different topic. But that's understandable because a lot of times clients do make changes. And the worst is when you're excited about a project, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like a pay the bills type project. It's a really exciting project, and you really want to make it awesome, and you're really excited to put it on your reel and all of that, right?
Right.
But then the client comes back to you and they do something crazy, like, just completely just destroy something that was really going in a good direction. So I guess the first question there is, how do you handle that? Sometimes to me, I'm vocal with the client about something if I feel like it's really a bad idea.
Yeah,
me too. That's number one.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a point sometimes where you're just like, look, I really, really want to advise you against this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a small change that you don't necessarily think is right, but it's like the client wants this, you got to do it. And it takes the project in a direction you were hoping it wouldn't go in, but you understand why they're asking for that, and you just kind of have to do it because, let's face it, you're getting paid. You'll do a first round, and it's hit or miss sometimes. You'll do a first or second round of something, and then they'll come back and completely change it, and you're like, okay, well, I don't agree with it, but that's fine. I mean, they are paying the bill, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying you, but so I guess that's the first thing is you got to decide, okay, do you want to address this with the client and tell them it's not necessarily, you don't think it's the best route creatively? Do you have that? Does that happen to you often? Is it a recurring thing? And do you handle it by talking to them about it, or do you just do it, or what do you do there?
Yeah, like I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I will gladly listen to clients' changes and talk with them about it. I'm also like I'm of the mindset of making changes and showing them and saying, like, here's where you were and here's what you wanted, what you think works better. I'm also of the mindset of, like, they're hiring you for a reason, especially if you're a freelancer and you're supposed to be the professional. So if they come to you with changes that you think aren't going to work best, that could reflect on you later down the road. So if the project wraps up and it isn't well received or things like that, they could say, well, why didn't you tell us this was going to happen?
Yeah.
So I would much rather talk about something and try and get it on the best route possible than just completely take changes and make them and say, like, okay, I'm getting paid for this, so I may as well just do it.
Right. And then the second part of that, when it makes the project, when it does make the project worse, how do you keep interested and not take it personally? Which is also kind of a two-parter.
Yeah.
Because you lose that momentum. You're like, oh, this is really going great, and then you're like not into it anymore, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's the hardest part for me, is keeping interested. Like I'm not so troubled with taking things personally. Like I am very good about kind of like godfathering it up and like, this is business, it's not personal. But keeping interested, it's like, okay, I have how many more days left, and then, like, this job is over. Like that's the biggest thing for me. And I've had it with projects this past year that have just like kind of dragged on, where it's like, okay, I've only got like 3 more weeks of this left. I've only got 2 more weeks, and just like kind of counting the days. And it's really hard to keep interested. The only thing that I can really suggest is like find one thing in the video that you really like and have kind of put your heart into, and just make it the best part possible of what you're doing. And so at least you have maybe 5 seconds out of the whole piece where you can be like, I love this part, this portion of it, and I can put it in my reel. Maybe that's the best way to keep interested. At least have something that you love in it.
But because that is hard. Like you lose the momentum that you were on, and but yeah, you can't take it personally because it's just business. Like, and it's like you got to give people revisions.
Right.
You can't just assume that whatever you're going to give them, they're going to say, "Oh, that's fine," because that rarely happens. Right. You know, where the client comes back and says, "Nope, you did a good job. It's perfect. We're done."
Yeah, and I've fought clients on ideas too, and lost, and then implemented them, and then gone back and looked at them like, oh man, they were actually right about this too.
Yeah.
And so that's part of not taking it personally either. Is like, if you feel like you're being attacked by a client and you start to take it personal and you don't implement the changes, you might actually be holding yourself back a little bit too. Like the client isn't always wrong. It should definitely be a conversation.
Yeah. Well, there's one that I was working on for a pretty big brand last month, and it was one of those things where it started out 3D and it was going to be really kind of cool looking, and then it went to 2D, and then we came up upon brand standards, and the brand standards made it even worse, and they're sending examples of what they want, and it didn't match what they said they wanted in the first place. And I'm like, you've dumbed this down now, and to where it's just garbage. It's literally, it's for the meal. Yeah. When it started out for the real. And it is frustrating. And I didn't take it personally, because it's like, okay, whatever you want to, if you want to pay this for this thing at this point, which we've now gone through a million revisions and turned it into nothing, that's fine with me. Jago Design said 3D to 2D to potato. Yeah, that's basically where it went. And I was just like, I wasn't upset. It's not like they don't like what I do. It's just they wanted something different. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want, you're the waitress. It's like you're deciding what's going on. So I'm just gonna have to do it. But you've got to be willing to put that time in. And if you're gonna say, okay, you're gonna get 3 revision rounds, then this is what you're gonna. I mean, like, if I'm giving someone 3 revisions rounds, I shouldn't be upset if I have to do 3 revisions.
Right.
3 major revisions.
Yeah.
Because what does happen a lot of times is, you send a rough draft out and they're like, no, that's good. And I'll say 99% of the time, the rough draft that I send is what we end up going with. It's very rare that the rough draft round gets completely scrapped and then the 90% deliverable round is something completely new.
Yeah.
For me, or for Matt for that matter. It's not but when it does happen, it's like, oh man, because when you're doing a rough draft round, a lot of times you put a lot of the initial work into it, and you feel like, okay, I'm over the hump now, I just got to get them to say, yeah, we're good, and continue on. And it is a little bit frustrating when the rough draft is nowhere near what they had in their head. And either because like it wasn't communicated right in the first place, or they changed their mind, or once they saw it there, they decided to go a different route. But like, it's just something to keep in mind that if you're giving them 3 revisions, you got to be ready to do 3 full revisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been coming up against kind of something similar lately with the client, where I've been sending out boards, and my boards, I usually make them exactly how I'm going to animate them too. I'll throw extra frames in there, and then I'll animate a rough or like a pretty hyped up animatic, and they'll get it like, this looks great. And then I'll start to move forward and go put some polish on it. And like, this isn't what we were imagining at all. It's like, you've had the boards from the beginning, and you've had and it's like, that's completely irritating. Like that's something I keep coming up against lately.
That's a little different to me, because I feel like some of our contract stuff kind of covers that. because it says like if we're going to go completely out of scope all of a sudden that we're going to have to revamp and charge for that. So if you get to the second round of revisions and they want to start over on the concept, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I have that too in my contracts, and it's still irritating to have to go through like all the steps and then hit that plateau of no, we're going to restart now.
Yeah. And then the second part of this, and by the way, Billy, I don't know if we talked about this yet. Billy Chitkin is going to be on the show next week. Chitkin, it sounded like I said chicken. Billy Chitkin, otherwise known as Gurnge.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be on next week. He said this is a good talking point for him on next week's show because he says I want to talk about how things work with the studios / agencies that I freelance for.
Cool.
So that'll be. Yeah. So the second part of this is also how do you keep interest in current side projects when new ideas come up? Do you abandon the old side project or do you try and finish what you're working on first? Love what you're doing on the show. Keep it up, Paul Ramos. Man. So I get that because it's like I have a lot of little ideas and side projects that I've had that I try to start and maybe spend a day on and abandon. But then there's some stuff I get actually pretty far on and then I'll get sidetracked or a big project will come. And we've talked about this before. It's hard to get the momentum back into where was I? How did I have this set up? All of that. And then you get a new idea of something cooler to do for a learning side project, and what do you do? Right? Do you finish it or not?
Yeah. I do that all the time. I'm notorious for starting a project and then learning something in it, and then having a job come back and have to work on that, and then really just forgetting about that project altogether and wanting to start something new. It's really hard. I'd say there's maybe like 3 instances a year where I actually finish something, and then most of the time it's just like almost like doodling a little bit, where I'll go in and open the application and do something, and it's like, all right, this is kind of like a doodle, and I just keep it in the archive and I never see it again unless I have a project that comes up.
It's a great analogy, and that's the other thing. At least you learn. At least you still learn something.
Yeah.
You might not finish it, but at least if you consider it doodling, that's a great way to look at it. I was just messing around with something. You don't have to finish it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great way to look at it, and you can always come back and do it. Or if you come up with, maybe you'll come up with a new idea down the road that's related to it, and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to pull up that old project and continue on using this new method.
Yeah.
So.
In the chat, really love doing a different medium.
Like, what do you mean? Like.
So Ben is saying, I'm teaching myself how to stick with something and finish it by doing a painting instead of like a traditional 3D project.
Oh, okay. I see.
And, so try switching up the mediums like drawing or something else. I guess that could help, but I think what Paul's asking too is just like, for like we see these personal projects that people are doing, like Mitch Myers or whoever, and it's like how do you stick with that? How do when those things take months to complete? How do you not fall apart on them?
Yeah, I'm so behind because I've been working on my project. I've lost momentum in my side project.
Yeah,
and my Sundays, so I'm really gonna have, and it was a really good one. It was making great progress, and I need to force myself to finish that because that was a great. It's going to be a great thing to put on the reel. I feel like if I finish it, but if I don't, the thing is, you can tell people that you know how to do something, and this is, I think, my biggest problem, and I think it's kind of a big problem Matt and I have because we don't do much personal side project stuff.
Right.
And we're working for clients, we're paying the bills, and it's not necessarily real worthy stuff. And so we get caught in this thing where it's like, I know how to do all of these things, right? I know how to do all this X particle stuff, and I know how to do this motion tracking stuff, and I know how to do this and that. And what happens is the reel does not reflect the fact that we are able to do that.
Right.
Because we're ending up putting stuff on the reel that's just client projects that we thought were cool, but it's not necessarily showing off the fact that we could, mix live action with rigging and HDRs, into live environment with animated robots and smoke and explosions or something, because we don't have clients asking for that. But it's a catch-22. The clients don't ask for that because we don't show that off. So we get this thing where it's like, I don't feel like my reel reflects my ability because I'm not showing people that I can do that, and I'm not getting those jobs. You've got a side project for the gigs that you want, or you're never going to get those gigs.
Yeah, it's like that, what is it, ITT Tech commercial? Like, I don't have any money because I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school because I don't have any money, and I don't have a because I don't have a job and all that. It's the same thing with working.
Because I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy because I eat.
Yeah,
it's a vicious cycle.
It's totally a vicious cycle. Like if you want to be working in cool Pixar style animation, like you got to do that work yourself, and your clients aren't going to know you can do it until you actually do it. So it kind of sucks. Because
you can do it. It's just when you're getting paid for it, there's a feeling of it's okay for me to sit here and do this all day because I'm getting paid for it. And it has to get done because the client is asking for it. You don't have those two things working for you when you're doing a side project. And so it's frustrating to know like that you are pretty decent at 3D tracking or something, but you don't have anything to show for it. And I'm forcing myself this year to try and push more of that out. Now here we are 6 months through the year and I've barely done it. But it's still like the second thing on my list of things to do if I'm not working.
Sage is making a good point in the chat about holding people accountable in the Monday meetings group. And I would say not even just in the Slack, but that's, I think, one reason why collaborations work so well is because you have somebody else there to hold
making you accountable.
So maybe, Paul, that could help you if you maybe have like an accountability buddy that you could work on a project with, that maybe somebody's doing coloring and texturing and you're coming up with the animation, or vice versa.
An accountability buddy. Show title. All right. I think that wraps up that section.
Cool.
Let's do some links. The first one we got here is the French Monkey. He has got a new HDRI pack out called Highline, I believe. And this is a collaboration with Nick Scarcella, a.k.a. NSCR, who did the Manhattan Nights packs and things like that. So we'll post a link to that. And also, the French Monkey is moving to Redshift.
Apparently,
he's trying it out, dipping the old toe in there.
We've seen him a couple times pop up in the Redshift Facebook group, or the C4D Facebook group, and he's been asking questions and trying to get it up and running, and it sounds like he's enjoying it a good bit. So I'm interested to see. I'm gonna have to follow him and a little bit closer to see if he's tagging Redshift on there instead of Octane.
I'm gonna be interested, and we still need to get him on the show. So maybe at that point we can talk about his experiences in that. This is interesting. There was a link to Cinema 4D tutorial to bevel any edge in seconds, a new method. And it was cool because the way they did it was like this trailer. The only thing that I didn't like about it, though, is like the whole entire thing was full of like iStock watermarked photos and Audio Jungle audio. And I'm like, you could have put that out there. You should pay the, $1 it costs for that stock photo. But it looked pretty interesting because I understand the frustration that comes along with trying to bevel things, especially after the fact. Sometimes beveling isn't necessarily procedural in your workflow. And you'll get to a point where you're like, man, I should have beveled that in the first place, because now it's just going to be a mess to try and go in and figure this out. or select these edges, or, you know. Other links are Black Panther technology design, kind of behind the scenes. I have a link to all these in the show notes. C4D Seattle. Okay, so there's a C4D Seattle. In June, there's going to be one called X Particles Fluid Simulation with Marvin Sanders. So I'm going to be interested in hopefully seeing this if they record it. Actually, I am mentioning this because people actually asked me to mention this because he will be attending. He's not presenting.
Cool.
So it's going to be one of those things like everybody's showing up to see people rather than the presentation, and he's not even presenting.
Yeah.
But I told him that we would raise awareness of this, and it's a meetup.com link, which gotta love meetup.com. But yeah, check that out. I love trying to raise awareness of local C4D groups because it's so hard to get the word out, especially in smaller cities or cities that aren't necessarily VFX or C4D centric, you know, such as Dallas. And I feel like we've done okay in raising awareness of other Cinema 4D artists and companies in the area. But like, it is so hard to get the word out. So you got to do everything you can and use different platforms, because it's like, all right, I'm in Seattle and I want to do Cinema 4D meetup because nobody does. And how do I find these people? Where do I post? How do I, you know? So anybody in that area, I know it's a relatively short drive, isn't it, from like Portland to Seattle?
I think so.
Kind of like an Austin, Dallas thing.
Yeah, I want to say maybe like 3 or 4 hours.
Or Spokane, or, you know, if you're in the area, I would say if you can make a little road trip out of it, go check it out and get interested and maybe meet people. Because even if you have to take a 3 or 4 hour drive, I've noticed that people who come up to our meetups from Austin, it's still worth the drive because you meet people who are semi-local and you make good connections. And if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of C4D artists, you may end up getting a lot of work from just going and networking with people that are, you know, maybe a few hours away, kind of getting out of that area.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, ever since I started traveling last year and networking and going to like DFW C4D and half-res and everything, my inquiries have exponentially gotten better. So like, if you're trying to get into freelance and you want to get bigger clients and meet people in the community, go to these smaller events. It may seem like only 10 people are going to show up, but those 10 people know 10 people who know 10 people, and your name's going to get passed around. Yeah.
I think you saw this. This is in the Slack this week too. It's tip number 200, a quick tip as a song. How to change the place objects are pasted. Now, number one, I really like the fact you can do this because how many times have you been working in Cinema 4D with a super complicated project and your list of objects is so long, and you have something selected, you need to put another object right above or below it that you copy from somewhere else, and you hit paste, and where does it go? It goes to the top. And then you got to grab it and scroll it back down through this crazy list of parents and children that are all expanded, and you're scrolling down, you're like, where was I don't remember. Well, you can change where something is pasted, and you can say just paste it above or below where I am selected at the moment. But the interesting thing about this tip is it was done in song.
Yeah, it's so well executed, and just just like typing out name changes and things like that to match the lyrics, it's great.
Man, it feels so much better in here right now. I just got to say, like, the temperature, wow, I thought I was crazy, but yeah, it was 1,000,000 degrees in here.
Yeah.
I can't, are you like me? Like, if it's hot, I cannot work.
Oh yeah, if it's hot, I have to either like go take a cold shower or cool off or like turn on a fan right on my face. Like, I can't do it. It drives me nuts.
Like, cold is one thing, but hot, there's nothing worse to me than trying to work, getting caught in a situation where you're not able to figure something out, so you're frustrated, and you're trying to technically solve something, but at the same time you're hot and sweating. It is the most wall-punchingly annoying thing for me. I don't know why that is. And I mean, I guess it's not that weird, but like the difference between how I felt 30 minutes ago talking and now is amazing just because the temperature is going down a couple degrees.
Yeah.
This is completely off topic, but there are a lot of Mario Kart players in MoGraph. In fact, there was the motion design Slack was doing Mario Kart meetups every week for a while. I don't know if they still do that. They were calling it MoKart.
And I think that I'm going to mess up his last name. JC Tecklenburg runs like an actual like weekly MoKart or Mario Kart game like through the Switch or something. That if you hit him up, like there's a bunch of MoGraphers that play every week.
It's still going then.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. I think Matt's done it a couple times, but this article is like a detailed analysis of the best Mario Kart characters according to science, where all this research was done. Oh yeah, Billy. His handle Billy was Pacuro24, but he's changing it. He's just going by JC Tecklenburg now. He's changing his usernames and avatars. Where was I? Lost my place. Oh, so check out that link, and then I guess I have this in here 2 times. I guess that's why I was wondering about the Andy thing. That's why I thought I had 2 links, but this is also the Octane render thing, so I'll skip that. Did you see somebody, and I'm sorry, again, I don't remember, posted the quick draw with Google AI thing?
Yeah, it was Tokyo. Yeah, it was awesome. Tokyo Megaplex posted it, and it's crazy and fun.
Billy says he'll always be Pacuro in my heart. This is, you could fake this on Google because it says draw a swing set, and then you sit there and draw a swing set, and the AI is trying to solve it. Well, technically it knows that it's a swing set because it told you to draw a swing set.
True.
But I'm guessing those 2 pieces of it are separate.
Yeah.
But you just doodle on your screen and it starts figuring out and guessing different things. And you're playing Pictionary essentially with the computer.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where the AI and automatic graphics are going. Or where you can do something and it picks up on the rest of it. I'm really interested to see, especially in texturing, where this is going. Yeah. I think that it's going to be really cool to open up Cinema 4D and then start building something and the computer to automatically texture that thing for you to figure out, oh, you're making a house and you're making windows. I'm just going to texture that for you.
Yeah.
Like that is going to be amazing when that's implemented, because I think that's actually probably one of the easiest things that they could probably do off the bat, because it's very easy to recognize certain things that are formed geometrically. Like handwriting and doodling is one thing, but it'd probably be very simple for Google AI to look at what you're doing and let's just say SketchUp or something to start and say, oh, I'm just going to put textures on this for you. Maybe you have an option to say, no, that's not right, try again. But like, the edge of the windowsill is going to be wood, and you're going to have the trim, and you're going to have the outside of the house. You can put brick, you could say bricks. You could just say the word bricks and it just textures it for you. I'm looking to see where that goes, because what we're going to be able to do in our workflow, I don't think will ever be fully replaced by AI, but I think AI is going to help so much in the future.
Especially like CAPTCHA, like how now Google will say, like, find the signs, and you click the signs and it knows, okay, that you actually click the signs. So you should kind of be able to implement that into 3D, I bet, where it's like, all right, this is labeled a sign. It's kind of rectangular, so it will put a sign texture on it.
Yeah. Spacemon Q, man, that's a tough one. It says, can someone explain to me the difference between parametric and procedural? I think those are 2 separate things, honestly. Like parametric is a parametric object. and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but a parametric object is something like a cube object or a sphere object, right? And I see Sage is saying technically the same thing, and he's right, but I tend to use those differently in different situations. Like Sage said, yeah, parametric is more to do with models. A cube that is parametric is like a cube object where you go into the options in Cinema 4D and you have, or a sphere is probably a better example because you have like what's the radius and or a cylinder, how tall is it, and what's the bevel and all of that, and it's a non-destructive way of doing shapes.
Yeah.
If you mix that down to geometry, it is then geometry only. You can't go change the bevel. You can't go change the height in the same way that you did before. And like Sage said, Fusion 360 is a procedural workflow. Houdini is a procedural workflow. A parametric model is like Fusion 360. You could go like 100 steps back in Fusion 360, but sometimes in Cinema you can't do that. In order to go to the next step or do something, let's say with particles sometimes or certain things, you have to mix your geometry down. If you want to export a really complicated OBJ of something that you built, usually you have to mix all that down to geometry and not use parametric. So once you hit C in Cinema 4D, that is no longer a parametric object. Now, procedural is used more of a term, like if you're using textures or something. If you create a noise in a texture, that's a procedural texture. There's something to be said about procedural textures because it's a great way to make stuff and change it up and not use like Photoshop files. Procedural bricks, for example. If you want to put bricks on something, instead of using a texture of a brick, you would use procedural bricks, where you could change the grout and you can change the size and you can change the randomness of the color and what's the substance designer.
Yeah.
Is like that, where you can create these crazy procedural textures to where you can go back and Sage again. There you go. Procedural textures don't repeat, or you might see repeating patterns, but you can kind of you can change it to where they don't look like they're repeating. Like if you try and do a grass texture with a picture of grass, you're going to see that same thing like looping over and over. You can layer procedural stuff to where it doesn't look like you've got a whole bunch of tiles. You can go back and say, change this, the how wide this noise is, or the type of noise. What are some other procedurals?
The way I've always thought of like procedural is kind of like cooking. So it's like a process. So like if you say you want to make a glass of chocolate milk, you're going to have ingredients. So you're going to have milk and you're going to have your chocolate. And a lot of times procedural stuff is node based. So we were just talking about like substance that's node based. Houdini's node based. So you would have like a chocolate node and a milk node, and then you would combine those into two nodes, and that combination would be like a glass. And so inside that glass, it makes chocolate milk.
Right.
And then if you do something along that process or the procedural process, it changes. So if you swap out chocolate for strawberry, then you're going to get strawberry milk. So it makes it so that you can change your recipe whenever you want, and it'll always be modular.
Where non-procedural would be you've got a Photoshop file of chocolate milk and you can't change it. Or you'd have to do a lot of work to go in and change it to strawberry.
Right.
The other thing that I use procedurally a lot, and it's a little harder to do sometimes in Octane, but I do stuff with like squares, circles, lines. Sometimes lines are a thing. If I need lines, I just use a surface and do lines. I don't go into Photoshop and make a texture of lines and then bring it in. If I wanted to change it, I'd have to go back to Photoshop and redo it or scale it up or change my lines. Where if the procedural texture is a procedural lines in Cinema 4D, I can go in and change the size of them. I could add spacing between the lines or the colors or, something like that. So, no, that's a good question.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Let's see. Ear trumpet. We both had this in our notes. This is great. This is a Windows 10 volume control app that lets you control everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a procedural volume control.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. How often have you been working in Windows and you're trying to watch a video on Netflix on one screen, and then on another screen you got Skype going, and if you go into the mixer, sometimes there is control over individual programs, but not all of them. And this is just something that really drills down and helps you get fine-tuning control over all your audio. I don't know, what else does it do? Does that pretty much sum it up? Or
yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It's really nice because it can replace your normal sound icon in the taskbar or tray.
Yeah.
So you just click on it like you would anything else. I think it lets you set inputs and outputs individually too. So if you are switching from headphones like we are to a Rift or a Vive, then you can say, all right, I want my headphones on my Rift to be at 30%. I want the headphones I'm wearing to be at 90%. And so that way you can control not just the applications, but in and out too, which is really great because most of the time that's even harder to control.
And look, Houdini Mark just showed up in the chat.
What's up, man?
What's up, dude? You missed all the Houdini talk. You're gonna have to go back now.
Talked about that early on.
Tell everybody at ABC we said hi. We said, "What's up, bros?" Nexture. This is an interesting idea. Did you see this posted by Brandon? I think.
No, I just clicked on the link from the notes that you sent me, and this looks really interesting.
This isn't necessarily for Cinema 4D. This is this will work in video games and stuff like that too. But you've got that whole uncanny valley. I don't know if you've seen the title page of the Octane Facebook group lately, but it's a face. It's a person somebody did in Octane, and there's this uncanny valley thing that happens, and it usually has to do with this texturing of skin and how realistic does it look, and does it look are the pores and everything in the face, are they natural looking? Do they look fake? Do they look like there's too many repetitions? How is that handled? And this is an interesting way to go about doing this texturing because it uses AI and tons and tons of scans of different types of pores and hairs and textures to help come up with a more natural look and aid in. I mean, there's so much when it comes to skin, right? There's a lot of subsurface stuff that goes on that when you look at a person in real life, you don't really think about. If somebody had a plastic face, you would notice, like the episode of Atlanta that I was just talking about I think on the last episode, the guy who had the weird mask face. It looks funny. It looks wrong. There's something not right. And that's what happens in cinema or anything where you're making a realistic face. There's something just off about the skin texture. You don't know what it is. That's why it's such a hard thing. That's why even, watching Star Wars, you see these CG people that they try and put in. Yeah. And something isn't quite there. You're like, what is that? The French Monkey J Go Design, I can never say that right. So the French Monkey is doing a lot of cool skin work. I saw there's some really great skin work that he's been doing, and skin pack, I believe, or texture for Octane, I think. And so this is just using AI to randomize and come up with better texturing, and it shows it's got a slider. It shows, the difference and make things look a little less fake. That uncanny valley. It's that last 1% that is just so difficult.
Yep.
There was, in Star Wars, there was one character. This is a couple movies ago. I don't remember which one, but there was one character that I should have known was CG for obvious reasons, but I didn't really think about it, and I didn't notice right away that it was fake. And then there was another character, like right away, I was like, man, that's super fake looking.
Yeah.
And part of the way people are getting around that now is instead of going through all this trouble to recreate faces and skin, they're just using what's the NVIDIA CUDA thing that everyone was doing for a while, the deep fakes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easier to do that and have it use real people's faces or photos than it is to try and do all this recreation for like $1 million, Anyway, check that out. And then there's another link. Brandon, man, he's got some great links.
Yeah.
On the interwebs. He posted a link. There is a utility to bring your quill animations into Unity.
Oh, cool.
So Quill is like I don't know what you would call it, like a 2.5D like illustrative VR app. Kind of like Medium, but Medium is more like clay, and Quill is more of like different types of pens and brushes, like 2D brushes, right? Yeah. And you can animate in that now, and then you can bring those animations into Unity. So it's not really exactly where it needs to be yet, but I feel like this workflow of being able to put on a VR helmet and build or model or do some basic 3D work to set something up and then move off of the VR stuff into Cinema or Unity or whatever, I think that's a really fun workflow. Honestly, I feel like it would keep things a little bit... I don't know. I think it would keep things a little more... it would mix things up for me.
Yeah.
In a good way, a little variety in life to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go into VR and do some stuff for a while, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work at my desk and get me to stand up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Like I've messed around with Medium a good bit, and it feels much more intuitive to me. Like I've never been a good sculptor, but for some reason, or like using ZBrush, I've never been really good at it. But then doing it inside Medium, it seems to make a lot more sense. And I can probably see that happening with people with Quill too, where it just makes sense to work in that and then go into something like Unity. And
their stuff that they've done as far as like samples in Quill. Oh my gosh, dude! If you go in there, there's some beautiful stuff, and I'm like, how are people doing this? It's like the stuff Steve Teeple does.
Oh yeah.
He creates all of this stuff in VR, and I'm like, dude, how do you do that? Because the tool sets are pretty limited right now,
right,
compared to what you can do on the computer. And some people are coming up with some great stuff. You have a link here, Houdini link, MOPS, motionoperators.com. What is that?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the beginning. So Motion Operators is that clone or the recreation of like Cinema 4D's Brograph tools inside of Houdini, and it's just straightforward. Here's how you take a box and put it on a sphere and have clones of the box around the sphere and things like that. Just makes it a lot more intuitive. Have like a plane effector and a color effector and everything that you would want from Cinema 4D now inside Houdini. So just it's great. It's still an alpha, so it's a little buggy at times, but I recommend anyone that's interested in getting into Houdini, check out MOPS and maybe dipping your toe into the Houdini Kool-Aid.
X Particles tutorials coming out from Bob Walmsley. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think he's in. I thought I saw him in the Brograph chat too recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought I saw him in there. Let me check really quick. Bob.
XP Reel tutorials.
Yeah, so all the X Particle reels that have come out, Bob is now in charge of making tutorials on how they did that stuff in the reels. And so every Monday, it seems like they've put out a new tutorial, or every couple of days they're putting out a new tutorial of how they made water and a helix and how they made fire
Nice.
explosion stuff. Yeah, it's been
How
really
come I
great.
haven't seen Bob? Where is this in the X particles?
Yeah, and X particles. If you do a search
On
in X
Brograph?
particles, yeah,
Okay.
if you do type Bob, he's the only Bob.
Yeah, I haven't been in here since the 6th. That's not very good. I need to catch up. Yeah, all right. I see a Ken. I see JP. A lot more Ken. Pepe the Lion. I don't see Bob.
You just do a search in the search bar at the top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I found it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Probably not as good as Andy's X Particles Slack, but we've got some stuff going on in there. So, and then this other one, John Hutton's Just the Tip series.
Yeah.
Cinema 4D quick tips on a variety of things. Big green mug.
Yeah, so John's alias is Big Green Mug. He hangs around in the Slack a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
He's mostly known for like his character rigging tutorials, but he's been doing more short quick tips, hence the quick just the tip. But the one that he just came out was like how to loop a cloth animation inside Cinema 4D, and it's a minute 30 long. And he goes through it just really quickly, straightforward, and it's awesome. But he's got a handful of these, and I feel like he deserves a shout out for putting in the effort to just do straightforward quick tip tutorials.
Cool. So you ready for some Beeple's People?
Yeah.
All right. So everybody get out your Beeple viewer of choice, and we're going to start out on June 13th, Year of Our Lord 2018. This is called Portal 1.
All right, I got it.
Pull that up here. Go to the old Dealio here. Portal 1. Now, to me, okay, first of all, I know Matt always says this, but is this the Beeple model? It almost looks like he's wearing a Star Trek uniform, but I can't tell.
Yeah, it almost looks like a Star Trek or like a Han Solo jacket type deal. Like it's got like some leather patches on the top.
On the top.
Yeah.
But Portal 1, I was almost thinking like maybe this is like the very first Portal that they did in the series. I was
So is
talking
this
to you.
is this a small people or a big people?
Oh man, it's hard to tell. You never know.
Yeah. I can't even keep up with the story anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Mark, I got to get with you because you had a really good timeline going of some of this stuff, and I'm serious. Like, I want to do the whole. I almost want to get to the point where we're doing like the yarn, like with the different things, and we're connecting the pieces, like Beautiful Mind, you know, and start piecing this thing together. Because I was talking to you before the show. I'm like, I really want to talk to Mike and be like, okay, look, I really want to write a People's People book fiction. Like, I really want to do this and like have like illustrations, you know, that we've talked about and see if he's down for doing something like that. And like, you know, making a little side cash on some sort of Beeple novel, because that'd be so much fun. Like, I've always wanted to write something fiction, and this would be like so cool. But you'd have to do so much like connecting the dots and really figure out the story first. And I would love to see. I mean, he's probably listening, and like seriously, I'm so down for doing that. If you would be okay with that, like I'm excited about it. Maybe that's what I'll do in my week off.
Yeah, write that book.
Write the Beeple's People novel.
So this, as I'm analyzing this, one, it looks like this isn't completed almost. Like there's like this cutout at the very bottom. Yeah. But it also looks like a keyhole too, like a circle at the top and then like a thin line. So is this like a key to somewhere? You know?
To my heart.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe it is the very first portal, and maybe it's the key to the rest of humanity coming together.
It could be that a big Beeple's People could fit a big Beeple's People sized key into that hole. I don't know.
True. Yeah. But giant size.
Yeah, it's almost like this is when it's powering up too. It hasn't powered up all the way, because a lot of times you see these portals and it's just a pure circle of light.
Yeah.
Right. And so maybe this is what it actually looks like, but it's usually just so bright that we see the inner work.
I think I agree with that. Like it seems like it's not quite built all the way, or it's not fully powered up or something.
Sage says it's the first test portal, incomplete because the quantum math didn't work properly. It shuts down seconds after the shot was taken. I like that.
Yeah,
pretty good.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, I guess.
All right, so are we gonna do like technical? Or are you guys still doing that?
If you want to, like, if you have something to say, I think that's the thing. If you have something technically to say, like it's relevant, but like, I don't think there's any reason to go in and be like, oh, look at the specular on the ground. I think we've covered that.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you think technically?
So I'm almost wondering if he is using a little bit of Houdini for this, because it reminds me of a Houdini tutorial I did, and I remember at the beginning of the year he said he wanted to start getting into it. And Rowan Dalby has a series that he's put out. He was a Houdini teacher that you model.
He's not the Entagma guy, right? It's the other. This is the other site.
Yeah, and he's generally pretty good too. But he has a portal that you build that's very similar to the shape of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wonder if people's finally starting to get into Houdini a little bit, like you said at the beginning of the year.
So is it like a procedural portal tunnel? Like
like a procedural model that you put together. So if you need to add more greeples, greebles, I'm screwing up greeples and beeples.
Beeples, greebles.
Yeah, if you need more beeples, greebles, then you can automatically add that in. And if you need to like extrude the portal more, it just all moves together as one unit, and it's really great. So like you were saying earlier about learning Houdini, if you want to jump into it, it's one of the easiest tutorials to follow along.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check that one out. All right. Next up, we are on June 14th. It's called Deep Space. This is a trip.
Oh. Wow.
I don't even know if this is in the narrative, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it could be like the first time we're starting to explore deep space, and who knows?
Is this what deep space is? It's just a bunch of goopy, gloppy, like primordial ooze in outer space.
Yeah, man. So Sage has a technical question of light dispersion. Okay.
Is that like related to this or something else? I wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if because this seems like completely beyond the realm of the normal narrative.
Thigh deep in space. Interesting. It's like, what are the bubbles? What is it made out of? It looks like paint or oils, swirly oils, and they're knee or thigh deep in it. And there's like these bubble things. Like, how would this be deep space? It's almost kind of like you reach the end of space and there's just a bunch of goo.
Yeah, like
that's what the rest of space is.
It almost seems like Mercury in the sense where like these bubbles are really shiny and metallic. But
shiny.
But man, I don't know. I'm more interested in how he built this texture and got all these colors to run together the way they are. If he did it in Photoshop first, or if he's trying to work OSL or what.
Oh yeah, or maybe something in Houdini. You never know.
Maybe.
But is the guy I can't tell because of the reflection. Is the astronaut on the right? Is his helmet open, or is it just there's no reflection because of where he's placed?
I think I can see like very minimal reflection in the bottom.
Okay.
But it kind of does look like it's open. I think it's closed. Oh, they're saying potato streaming right now.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Be. Yeah, I'm.
I don't know. Not having any issues here, but hopefully that'll get better. All right, there's another one, June 15th. This is called Lithium Transport.
Oh, cool. And he animated this one too.
Yeah. Oh man, I love the animations that he's been doing lately.
Yeah.
So lithium, that's kind of, I think there's been a reference to lithium before, hasn't there?
Maybe. I don't recall.
Okay, so the thing is that lithium is a valuable resource if you're on another planet, because you're going to be able to make batteries with that.
Right.
That's a big deal. And so the title lithium transport, it's almost like this is a maybe sort of mining machine that pulls lithium and holds it and transports it to where it needs to go. The cool thing that I'm noticing is there's almost like an outline quality, like almost it almost looks like an Octane art shader type deal going on with the lines.
Yeah.
And the edges. You notice that? It's almost like illustrative.
Yeah, it does. And especially the still. I don't really notice it so much in the animated one, but the still really looks like it's got like cartoon shader on there.
I'm trying to see what it says. I'm noticing that there's a little, yeah, you can see it here. There's a little piece of tape on part of one of the legs, and it says Pete.
Oh, yeah.
Pete.
And like
there's got to be some meaning there, right? It's not it's not just me, right? Like
Pete's dragon, maybe. Like maybe this is like this guy is Pete, and this is like a futuristic giant dragon.
Yeah, it's almost like maybe that's his name or something.
Yeah.
See, this could be a side story or like a spin-off. About this guy and his machine called Pete.
Mm-hmm.
This could be one of the it could be like the Han Solo movie,
Yeah. Do you think he's using Octane's, because Octane now has Sketch and Tune, right, or something similar?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that might be one of those where it almost looks like that. It's hard to say. I like the animation though, and there's another one. There's two of them in this one, and they're both walking with them. I wonder if that one has no. There's no piece of tape on this one though.
The one that's
you notice that? The one that's is it there?
Let's see. It's the back. Oh no, it's a different. Yeah, it's completely different.
Oh, interesting. It's like he added that after the fact. Now I'm really curious. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know what's going on in the stream. We went from like 20 something viewers on YouTube to like 4. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's all right. We're close to the end of the show anyway. So, oh man, I hope this was still recording. Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, I'm still recording too. That's
okay.
Good.
Man, freaking, I've been too busy to get my gear in order. So I need to work on that probably this week. I got a little extra time. All right, let's go to email/social. We've got Chad Gilmore here from Dallas sent us something. He says, and I'm a fellow editor turned Mographer, and I used to work in Dallas until recently. He's been in the Dallas After Effects group for a while.
Cool.
So I've recognized the name for a while, and I think he came to some meetups and stuff. And then I've been seeing him posting on like the Octane group and stuff too. I'm like, hey, I know you. He said, we met a couple times at some of your DFW C4D events. I'm a fan of the podcast, and I want to say your podcast and events helped give me the confidence to go full-time freelance. My wife and I recently had our first child, and both being from Minnesota and not having any family in Texas, we decided to quit our jobs and move back to Minnesota, where all of our family is. Isn't that where Mark is from?
Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. One of those states, Since she is a teacher, insert joke about mographers having elementary teacher wives, she was able to get a job quickly, and I've been focusing on full-time freelancing. Anyways, just wanted to say thanks. Keep up the good work. And if you guys are ever looking for remote freelance help, feel free to hit me up. Sweet. I'd love to collab with you guys. I got a pretty wide range of experience. And then he sent a link to portfolio, but that's a password protected one. If you hear this and you want us to post your portfolio, non-private portfolio in the notes, just hit us up.
I'm going to watch it really quick. Just scroll through it, because it seems like that's a pretty big leap.
Yeah. So
it looks pretty good. I'm jumping through it like every 10 frames or so. Looks solid. So cool.
I just didn't know if there was any like client work that couldn't be shown on there or anything. So
yeah.
I'll link to it. So, but if you have one that's non-private that you want to send, we'll post that in the notes. But that wraps it up. We got Billy, aka Gurns, coming on next week. I think that's going to be a lot of fun talking about render engines and all sorts of stuff. So,
he just wrapped up working at Gunner too, if you know the studio Gunner. So he's probably got really good insight on that.
Cool. Everybody's saying this. How are they chatting and saying the stream is down? I don't understand that.
I don't understand that either.
That's really weird. Maybe it's a YouTube thing. I don't know. But anyway, we're at the end of the show anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So we're going to get out of here. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review. You can also subscribe to the show on your podcatcher of choice. It helps get our ratings up if you leave a review, subscribe and rate us and all that. Subscribe to our newsletter. You can say you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt with the No Brograph, No Mograph tee, the Feel the Bab 2020 shirt, which all the profits from that go to Doctors Without Borders, the limited edition Gaten DeSimone shirt, and then our shirt and hoodie of Render Things. I would like to do a hat too eventually. I'd like a Render Things hat. That is our most popular item. And, of course, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube and Brograph.com. Dude, what's your site? What's your info? Give everybody your info.
Sure. So you can find me just by looking for 531 if you spell it out, FIVE, numeral 31. I pretty much come up everywhere on social media, and my website is FIVE-31.com. I do Redshift Live every other week now, and I'm active in a ton of Slacks, so you can probably just search any Slack that you're a part of.
Slacking off quite a bit.
Yeah, and just do a search for Brograph, excuse me. Do a search for 531 or Liam Clisham, and you'll find me.
Cool. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. Thanks a lot for being on and filling in for Matt. And
thanks for having me.
We'll see you on the Thursday stream. Everybody tune in for that, and make sure you if you have any Redshift questions, just bring it.
Yeah, totally.
I like the format. You sit there and people have questions or issues or whatever it is, and it's like, let's sit down together and figure this out. So it's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
So, all right, well, we're going to get out of here. Until next week, I'm Dave.
I'm Liam.
Have a good one.
Later, bros.
All right. Yeah, I guess something happened with the stream there at the end. I don't know. Like everything says it's connected, so maybe it's a YouTube issue.
Yeah, because I'm using the Restream link to watch the chat, and I wasn't even having any interruption in the chat. It's weird.
And I mean, I
think it's YouTube because I can't even get it to load. It's just a circle of death.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. They didn't miss much. It was just the end stuff.
Yeah.
So.
People's people.
It'll probably be available here as soon as we shut it off. They could go back and watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm checking the live right now. Oh, geez. On our page, I'm getting internal server error with the monkey, with the crazy monkey thing.
On your website?
Yeah. Yeah, on the live stream.
Yeah.
Like where the live usually goes, there's like the YouTube monkey of death in our website. Yeah. I think something's going on with YouTube.
Yeah. That's gotta be YouTube.
Yeah. That's really weird. I bet you it'll still show up, but let me start turning off the live stuff, and then I'm gonna show you what we've been working on.
Cool.
You guys don't get to see it yet. Only Liam. All right, let's see. Periscope is off. Facebook is off. YouTube's off.